That morning, the atmosphere in the village felt so fresh. The cold air touched my skin, while the sky began to show a calming blue color. The rice fields that had just been harvested looked very different, now leaving an empty expanse of land, as if waiting to be filled with something new. This sight was ordinary, but there was something that made me so excited that day. The snails hiding in the mud of the rice fields were waiting to be found. I walked slowly towards the rice field, without rubber boots, exploring the slippery mud. In every corner of the rice field, I could see small tracks made by snails sliding on the damp soil. I knew that today would be an adventurous day, hunting snails scattered throughout this rice field. With excitement, I began to examine every inch of land that looked different, trying to guess where they were hiding. The snails weren't hard to find, but they were good at hiding. There were times when I felt frustrated, as if they were avoiding me. But beneath that frustration, there was a curiosity that drove me to keep looking. I bent down several times, paying attention to the slightest movement in the leaves and grass growing wild. I knew that if I was lucky, the snails would appear before me, gliding slowly across the ground, like treasures waiting to be found. Every time I found one, a feeling of satisfaction and joy filled me. There is nothing more satisfying than finding something hidden, which can only be reached with patience and attention. The snails I found varied. Some were small, some were big and fat. The shiny colors of their shells gleamed in the morning sun, as if they were showing gratitude for being found. I carefully transferred them into a bucket, so that they would remain safe and unharmed. In the midst of the hunt, I occasionally stopped to enjoy the beauty of the surrounding nature. The sound of birds chirping in the distance, the gentle breeze caressing my face, and the fresh air filling my lungs make me feel more alive. In moments like these, I feel very connected to nature, to the land I walk on, and to the snails I am finding. Snail hunting is not just about catching them, but also about experiencing the peace that comes with the simplicity of life in the countryside. My steps became more steady as I walked along the peaceful rice fields. The fresh morning air seemed to support my every movement, as if calling me to keep walking. Around me, the remains of straw that were still firmly embedded in the ground left the impression of a life that had just ended, but still left traces. The bright sky gave off a soft light, reflecting the calming green color of the rice fields. Behind the remains of straw, I knew there was a hidden treasure. I began to notice the seemingly hollow ground, every little nook and cranny between the scattered straws. That was where the snails often hid, seeking shelter from the heat of the sun. Without hesitation, I began to walk more carefully, my eyes trained on any suspicious movements. Slowly, I crouched down, looking for the little tracks they left on the ground. Suddenly, my eyes caught something moving slowly under a piece of straw. With great attention, I approached it and turned it over slowly. There was a snail, golden brown in color, with a shiny shell covered in a little dirt. I smiled a little, satisfied with my first find. Without hesitation, I carefully picked it up. The longer I walked, the more snails I found. It was like a treasure hunt. Every straw I moved, every corner of the ground I checked, yielded little surprises in the form of hidden snails. They were cleverly hidden, almost invisible, but I was getting better at finding them. Some of them were buried deep in the ground, while others slowly crawled out as I moved the straw over them. The snails, though small and unassuming, felt like a reward that came with effort. Each time I found one, I felt more excited, as if the small challenge made the hunt more interesting. I was not only collecting them, but I was also feeling closer to nature, to the land teeming with life. I became more and more engrossed, lost in this hunt. Time passed so quickly, but I didn't want to stop. Every straw I moved, every step I took, gave me an irreplaceable sense of satisfaction. The snails, though only small lumps with hard shells, represented so much of what I could find in this world: patience, perseverance, and the joy that comes from finding the little things that are often overlooked.